All right, welcome back. Our Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Day. And they picked me as the Tweet of the Day, Paul. Can you believe it? Juju Smith-Schuster was over there today, and I'll give him some credit here because most guys in his situation, end of his contract, probably not going to be with this team next year, although he told me that he does want to be here. He did say that to me on the sideline in the Bears game. He was out there practicing in a sling today, doing warm-ups as much as he could do. He's out for the season. You don't necessarily see that too often. So you got to give Juju a lot of credit. I really believe that he does want to stay here. I do. I mean, it's not one of those things that he would just say. And I was talking to him on the sidelines. No cameras, nothing. And he said, I hope I can come back here next year. Unsolicited, too. So what do you think?
I mean, I don't know why he would want to come back here, number one, the way they've used him and the role that he has in this offense. And number two, I don't know why they would want him back. You know, he's a good kid. I mean, you know, he does a lot of great things for charity. People like him, you know. I mean, he's a very popular player, but he's not good enough to merit all of the whatever they're going to have to do to pay him to keep him here. You know, and he needs to go get paid, and the only way he's going to do that is if he goes somewhere where they use him, where he can, you know, make big plays and get down the field. He's not going to do that here. I don't think that he's that kind of receiver anyway. And so I think that when it comes to, you know, him figuring out where he goes, he should have gone to a place like Kansas City where there's a quarterback that's going to throw the ball down the field. Now, of course, the thing about that is that quarterback happens to be hurt or he's not at 100% right now, but still, in that offense, you know, or an offense like that, Juju will have a chance to make some plays and maybe, you know, if he does another one-year deal, then go get paid. But it makes no sense for him to be here anymore.
Would you pay him $8 million a year?
No.
You think that's too much?
I mean, you can – well, I mean, what if the Steelers lost without him being in there?
I mean, they were an inconsistent offense with him, and they're an inconsistent offense without him.
But it's not just that. I hate to say it this way, but he's just a guy, man. He's not, you know, he's not a difference maker. He's not spectacular. He's not special at anything. He's maybe a decent blocker, better blocker than they've had at receiver. But you know what? In terms of catching the ball, he catches it great. But his yards after the catch, or, you know, if he catches it at 8 yards and there's somebody there, he's going down at 8 yards. He doesn't have the speed to, you know, to break away from guys. You know, he's a good player. I'm not trying to say he's not, but he's not a difference maker. He's not the kind of guy you give $8 million a year. If he wants to come here and play for 2.5, then we have that conversation. But I can find anybody out there. You know, there's lots of guys out there I can find to average, what did he average, 6 yards, 7 yards a catch or whatever it was? I can find lots of guys that do that.
I think he's going to get a number 2 wide receiver contract, and I think it'll be somewhere else. I don't know if he's going to get a ton of money. Let's go out to Anthony in Verona. How you doing, Anthony?
How you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling.
Is the Steelers doing anything?
What do you mean?
Is he doing the quarterback? What about that quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger?
Oh, yeah. Pickett?
Is he doing anything?
Kenny. Hey, Anthony. You know what? That's what I miss about Fridays. Callers like Anthony from Verona. I love the guy. I don't even know what kind of question he was asking.
Something about the Steelers. Probably he was asking if they're
going to take Pickett.
Did he say Roethlisberger's name?
I don't know what he meant. Does he want him to take Pickett?
I think what he meant, I'll give him a lot of credit here, probably far more than he deserves. But I think what he meant was, is Roethlisberger healthy and he's going to play? Because remember the last 2 days, he didn't practice, but he practiced today. So he's going to play. And apparently, you know, he's healing up, you know, slowly but surely.
Let's go to Albert.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
This is why I need you on Friday nights. You can decipher some of these calls. Let's go out to Albert in Brighton Heights. How you doing, Albert?
Good. To you?
Thanks for calling.
I'm glad to call. I finally got through.
Okay. Well, I'm glad. Ask your question.
Oh, just a quick one. Do you think that in the future draft, do you think the Steelers would consider Pickett as a choice for helping Roethlisberger?
You know what? That is a good question, Albert. And I've been going back and forth with this one, Paul. I wouldn't have said that before this year. And look, you know, Pickett's played a lot of years. They like going after the younger guys in the earlier rounds. But if Pickett's there in the second round, do you think the Steelers would take a chance on him? And I can tell you this, too. I was up in the press box. Kevin Colbert was up there. You know, I talked to him, seen him. And I was actually watching some of these GMs and scouts while Pitt's offense was up there, and Colbert, every time Pitt offense he had the binoculars up watching Kenny Pickett.
Well, I mean, I think everybody that was in the press box there was watching Kenny Pickett and Sam Howell, right? Because a lot of the teams that are there are looking for a quarterback, and those are two of the guys that people are saying, hey, these are two guys that could be at the top of the draft. You know, it's goofy, Richie. I was listening to one of these draft gurus on, the PM team or whatever they call the guys right before me on the air.
Yeah.
Then they had a guy who was talking about how, Kenny Pickett's hands don't measure a certain length or something, and there's concerns about him holding the ball and being able to grip it, and that he needs 2 gloves to play, and this and that and everything. That's the kind of thing that could drop him into the second round. If people are going to analyze it that closely and say, hey, his hands aren't quite big enough. But I have a sneaking suspicion if the Steelers were to pass on, say the Steelers, pick somewhere 18, 19, 20 or whatever, if they passed on him, I don't think he'd be there by, 38, 39, 40. So if they want him, they need to get him in the first round, I would think.
Yeah. I was watching. Mike Mayock was there, too. And it seemed like he was only paying attention to Sam Howell. I'm just, watching and observing these guys for parts of the game. But, every time that he was writing stuff down, paying attention, was that when Sam Howell and North Carolina offense was out there. So, I mean, I'm sure between both of those guys, they're going to be high-end prospects out there. But I don't know. I don't know if the Steelers would take a chance on Pickett. Obviously, they know him better than any other team out there. But it's a good question.
Right, and sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's bad because they've, they know maybe they know too much about him.
Yes.
And they've studied him so much, they've studied their way into convincing themselves, maybe he's not quite as good as we think. I mean, there's so much time between now and the draft. Just sort of enjoy, the rest of this Pitt season and see if they can finish the job and win these next 2 games.
All right, let's go out to Chaz in Glenshaw. How you doing, Chaz?
Hey, good evening, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem.
The Pickett call was a perfect segue into what I wanted to ask. Did you guys see the conditions of Heinz Field? Looks like they replaced the turf between the hash marks, and that's after they already have the Pitt game, then they have the weather. I mean, that's going to be definitely a condition, for the Steelers on Sunday. Can I get your comment?
Yeah, I was there. I saw the conditions before the game and after the game and during the game, the rain. But they do this all the time. They replace parts of that field all the time. And usually they do it right after, they'll do it right after the Whitfield Finals, which are November 27th. They'll replace the whole field again. I don't think the field conditions will be much of a factor. The Steelers should win that game against the Lions. I don't even consider the field conditions a factor anymore like they were years ago. We used to talk about how bad Heinz Field is. Not that bad anymore.
Well, I mean, again, the field conditions are rough because of where, we live and where we're at. It's never going to be easy to keep a field like that in great shape. That field was a little beat up last night. There's no question about it, but it is a part of it. And I think, part of what the Rooneys want on that field is they want it to be a grass field. That's how they've been. And, they've been very stubborn about it. It would make probably more sense to go to one of those field turf things. Just given the climate and everything else, but they don't want that. They want a grass field, and you know what? It's clear that they are willing to do whatever it takes to keep that thing, keep it in a way where every single week when the Steelers play, it's in pretty good shape.
All right, we got to take a break, but when we come back, I do want to talk more about Pitt, and I want to ask you a couple questions about the Pitt basketball team and what happened to this program right now. 412-575-2600. We have time for a couple calls. Back in a couple minutes.